and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that will gladly pay you in protein bars. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 39 Battle for a New Champion Episode 10. We have hit the double digits. We are halfway through this season. I can't believe it. The season feels like it's going by so quickly, yet dragging at the same time. But let's start now talking about this episode, where at the end of last episode, we saw Melissa getting eliminated by Tori. The house lost another $10,000, but the Giant Alliance loves that they lost more money if it meant that Melissa was eliminated from the game. And somebody else that is happy is Colleen, because she didn't have to go down to the elimination. She didn't have to face off against Tori, but even though she is happy, she is still going to be very skeptical and keep her eyes open to even her own alliance members, more specifically Moriah, who she deems as the #1 target. The next day, Kyland reads a note from Melissa. But I mean, could he have read it at a more opportune time, like maybe outside on a bench with the sunset? No, he has to read it right here, right now, after a shower, and he also got a laminated picture from production. I mean, could they have not keyed out the green screen? The note is nice to have a reminder that Melissa is out there, she wants to see him, but now he needs to focus on the game, restructure his game, and strengthen his alliances, because if not, then he could find himself in the elimination. Ooh, foreshadowing. Now let's go to Michele talking to Moriah about James being a liability to Moriah's game. We have heard Michele bring up that Moriah is her #1. She trusts Moriah more than anybody else in the house besides Jay. And with James in the house, it leaves a lot of question marks in the alliance of where is Moriah's head at. She loves Zara, she loves James, and that could be a red flag for Moriah and put her space in this game in jeopardy. And if Michele is so close to Moriah, that could lead into people wondering where Michelle's head is at in this game. But Moriah also says, I don't care about that. You know, I like James. I don't care what's happening outside the house. I don't care who knows. James is in my corner, and that's all I really need to know. So thanks for the advice, Michele, but no thanks. Speaking of Michele and her friendships around the house, we know that Michele has a web. And she is connected basically to the entire house. Not just her big alliance, but everybody, including Burna, who feels like Michele is not giving her enough attention as a friend or an alliance member. Michele is saying, I do value our friendship. Maybe we're not talking as much as you would like, but I do have your back. And Burna just feels like she's being neglected. And at this point, I can only assume that Michele feels like a babysitter at this point. She is so perfectly insulated in this game. Like, nobody probably ever wants to say her name until this episode happened and more people are finding out what's going on with her and Jay. It probably feels to her that she is being dragged in so many different directions. Burna and Michele, we see, have a strained friendship, not only from this scene, but a later scene that we'll see in the bar scene later on. Speaking of Burna and targets and Kyland, we see Jay, Colleen, Burna, and Asaf, who they should target next. And now that they had 2 Women's Days back to back, there is now this level of uncertainty of, is there going to be a Guys' Day? Is there going to be a Women's Day? We can't rule out one or the other. The next targets for Jay is Zara and Kyland. Asaf really wants to say Kyland's name. Colleen is getting a little bit skeptical of Jay and how he is going through this game, but Colleen is also coming off of just being nominated by her entire alliance. So she's going to be on high alert from here on out. We then see Ed giving martial arts lessons to Zara and Emmanuel. I thought this was a nice moment until later on in this episode, I'm like, oh, they're showing Ed a lot more than usual. Come to find out his name was circulating around the house. I know I'm getting a little too ahead of myself, but I felt like I didn't catch that right away. I just thought that they were having a nice moment with Ed. But come to find out, they were giving him his time in the sun because he was having his name thrown out there. But we're going to put a pin in that because it's time to get to this week's daily challenge, Skyball. This is going to be run in 2 teams where it's going to be 8 people on each team. Luckily, they have even teams this time. 4 players are going to be on the ground, while 4 players are going to be up in a giant sphere suspended by a crane. The 4 players on the ground will have to solve a pretty basic puzzle, which will then give the people in the sphere a code to unlock a door on the sphere, to where then they will just toss out all the balls in the sphere onto the ground, where the 4 people on the ground will play cleanup and put it into their pyramids. The first team to pick up all their balls will win into power, win into safety. Now I know that the challenge just put the players on their heels with having 2 women's days in a row. But that kind of also shows your hand a bit, because why would they do 3 women's days in a row? So my assumption is that the players coming into this week's daily challenge are assuming it's going to be a men's elimination. And when I saw that the blue team had both Kyland and James on their side, that I felt that the orange team was most likely going to win. There was no talks of people throwing the competition or playing dirty. I mean, honestly, I'm rather surprised everything was quite tame. Like, everybody just stuck to their side. Everybody was just doing their thing, picking up the balls, putting it in the pyramid. I mean, you had Jay on top of the orange one, you had Ed on top of the blue one, and the orange team was able to pull out this win. The blue team just didn't work as efficiently, as quickly as the orange team. The most interesting part about this daily challenge is the deliberation. After the orange team is declared the winner, TJ tells them to go deliberate and say one man's name. While in the deliberation, Horacio takes charge, takes leadership, and goes down the line of being like, who is one man that you would not want to say their name? Tons of people say no to Ed and no to James. Well, 2 people say no to James, which was Zara and Moriah. However, one person's name that comes up that everybody but Horacio is willing to say is Kyland. Raven kicks it off saying, I'm cool with saying Kyland, and everybody says it. Jay is a little bit quiet. He does not stand up to say, no, let's not say Kyland's name, let's say James's name. He just stays there quiet. He wants Kyland to be nominated. He wants Kyland to go into elimination. He feels that Kyland is a very strong player and wants him in the elimination. So on a vote to 7-1, Horacio, being the only person not wanting to say Kyland's name, is outvoted, and Kyland is nominated to go into this week's elimination. Now, coming back to the challenge house, Kyland wants answers. So he goes to Zara and wants the lowdown of, how did my name become the one that everybody voted on? And Zara says, well, all of us but Horacio wanted to say your name. So Kyland now has alarm bells ringing in his head, being like, wow, Horacio is the only person that is going to bat for me, and I can't trust my own alliance members. And the only 3 guys up for vote is Coriel, Ed, and James. Coriel is talking to everybody to implement the strategy of anyone but me. He talks to Jay, he talks to Michele, he talks to everybody basically, especially in the bar scene, being like, let's think about this, don't say my name and say either Ed or James, which it sounds like everybody is cool with Coriel at this point. Now that Big T and Melissa are gone, he's probably talking to a lot more people in his alliance. So people are looking at either saying Ed or James's name. Ed feels super comfortable. He feels like he should be good. James is on the outs of the alliance. Coriel was already nominated. Everybody loves Ed. Why should I campaign? Why should I talk to anybody? I'm probably going to skate by and not get a single vote. Sometimes being too comfortable can be a downfall, because it sounds like from talks around the house that Ed's name was a possibility to be said. And I'll put that in quotes of like a possibility, because we'll get to the vote and it wasn't close. But let's go to the bar scene, where Kyland does get Horacio's take of what happened at the deliberation, at the daily challenge, and he says, yeah, everybody was willing to say your name. Jay didn't say anything to try to step up for you, and so we need to watch out for Jay. They decide that Jay and Michele are the nucleus of the house, and they're playing a very strong strategic political game, and they are worried about them and maybe want to take an opportunity to send them into elimination sooner rather than later. You just have to gain a ton of numbers. James talked to Zara about being 100% the house vote. And we'll see on the next day that Moriah is trying to do everything in her power to keep James safe. She's making deals with Nerys that if I win a daily challenge, you don't say James's name this time, I don't say Horacio's name. So Moriah is really trying to use any leverage that she can to save James at all costs. Something that James is unwilling to do himself. James is playing this game, and he's just like, whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to beg. And he even says that the following day when Moriah's like, hey, talk to people, campaign, try to save yourself. And James comes off like, I'm going to beg for people to not say my name. It does not matter. I'm a winner. And I just have to say, Moriah, I understand you're enamored with this guy for whatever reason. But if this man is unwilling to try to save himself and his own game, do not put all your effort and eggs into his basket. Getting people upset, Michele, Colleen, Burna, Olivia, she could be rubbing people the wrong way with coming at him, trying to strong arm him into saving James. It's like, why are you putting this much effort into it, Moriah, if James is not going to do anything to even try to save himself? Somebody else who was annoying this episode is Burna. Michelle's hanging out too much with Nurys, Horacio, and Olivia. And Burna has had the last straw. Michele is not spending enough time, according to Burna, with herself. So they have a conversation. It gets heated. Michele says that I've been here protecting you, saving you, trying to help you. And Burna says, shove it. I want a friendship, not a bodyguard. And once Olivia comes walking up, Burna says, well, you two can hang out because I'm out of here. And we come back to the challenge house and we hear that Michele does care for Burna, cares for their friendship. It just gets tiring sometimes. It's just too much. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to watch. I'm sure it's frustrating to deal with. Maybe Michele isn't spending as much time with Burna and that's really burning her because Burna doesn't have a ton of friends in the game. So when she came in, she really had eyes for Michele and that friendship with Michele, yet she's hanging out with so many other different people and for probably longer time. So Burna is just feeling burned at this point. The next day, we have Kyland, Horacio, and Jay talking in the gym area about what happened at the deliberation at the Daily Challenge. Now Kyland, after talking with Zara, after talking with Horacio, now wants to talk to Jay about where's Jay's head at. And Jay was like, look, the train was already going your way. I didn't want to put myself in danger by pushing back when it already seemed like that was where the majority was going. It's a cop-out, but reasonable at that point. Also, Jay buries or takes digs at Horacio, with Horacio standing there. He talked about how Kyland, because he had that relationship with Melissa and they were spending so much time with each other and away from everybody else, that kind of hurt himself in this game and hurt some of the connections and bonds and alliances that he had with the US alliance and Nurys' alliance. And he even gives some examples saying like, remember when Callum and Michele were hanging out with each other, or James and Moriah are always hanging out with each other away from it. I mean, the same thing is happening with Nurys and Horacio. Nurys was always hanging out with us and having a good time. Now she's just sitting around with Horacio for like 10 hours a day. It's really funny that how that was all happening. But of course, Kyland and Horacio, they got some red alarms up with Jay and Michele because they are completely the core nucleus of the alliance and they just have so many strings, so many webs weaved with everybody, and so red alarms. Also sending off red alarms is Moriah with Michele specifically, but also Colleen, Burna, Olivia. Moriah is talking about how she's making deals with everybody to save James, and Michelle's like, what are you doing? Put leverage on your own alliance members and friends to save this man who is not really helping your game at all. Michele feels like the godfather at this point because she's like, I'm a little pissed. I feel like I've done all I can for Moriah in this game, and now she's like turning her back, trying to make her own deals, start her own thing, when Michele is like the head of the whole mafia, basically. A little betrayed. I feel a little perturbed that she's going behind my back trying to make deals to save her man when she's not talking to me about this. And it's probably because they had a conversation where Michele was like, you gotta drop this James like a sack of hot potatoes, you know? At this point, we get to the nomination, and just like the past few weeks, who could it be? Well, I don't know. The obvious would say it's James, but I don't know. Ed has kind of been in the outs a little bit. Ed had to like go and scramble trying to put out Coriel or James's name, being like, hey, I thought we were good. I don't think it was that big of a deal because James got 6 votes. Ed only got 2 votes. The 2 votes was James and Kyland. Total shocker. I could not believe that they said James's name and that James and Kyland were nominated to go into this week's elimination. Speaking of elimination, everybody heads down to the arena to meet up with TJ, and this is where we have TJ introducing Darrell. And I will say, a little shocked about how much fanfare that Tori got throughout the entire episode. Yet Darrell did not get a single best to ever play this game or a GOAT of the game, nothing of that moniker, just that he is a 14-time vet and a 4-time champion. But Derell is here down on the arena floor, ready to pick a poll. He pulls it and he chose Kyland. I did think it was really fun of Darrell for calling out James with his tights, saying that he should have been on Dancing with the Stars, not in the Challenge Arena. That was a really fun moment for me. It is Darrell versus Kyland in the Firewalker elimination. In this elimination, both men are going to be up on these contraptions, trying to move it to where the fire bowls will pass over by the torch and light the fire bowls. The first player to light all 6 of their fire bowls will win this elimination. If Darrell wins, gets 10K and Kyland is eliminated. If Kyland wins, they lose no money and Kyland gets to stay in the game. This elimination was awkward, to say the least. I mean, this was really weird to watch. It wasn't very exciting. It wasn't very thrilling. Yes, there was fire, but it was also very finicky. In an exit interview over at patreon.com/angelcakevids, I talked with Darrell. Darrell said that it was kind of difficult because you had to get exactly the right spot to have the torch ignite the bowl. And at points, the bowl was too high, sometimes too low. It was tough to make this thing move. As we heard, Kyland also had struggles on his side. I don't know. I give creativity for this elimination. It's something that we've never really seen before. I just think that while watching them play it, it was kind of awkward and a little bit of a mess and not as exciting or thrilling or even interesting to watch. But for creativity, I would rather them take the opportunity and take chances with these eliminations to see if there's going to be something fun or cool about it. I just think that this one missed the mark a little bit. And speaking of missing the mark, we had Kyland hitting the mark more times than Darrell, to the point where Kyland was able to win this, not only saving the prize fund from losing 10K, but also getting to stay in the game, as well as beating a legend, OG, all-star, champs among pros, Darrell, a real GOAT of this game. Darrell has some really great advice for everybody before he heads out of the arena, and TJ looks at Kyland saying, "Congratulations, you won. Only the second time a contender was able to win against a champion, but you can't celebrate now because everybody get ready. We're heading to a challenge right now," which I'm very excited. We leave off on a cliffhanger of everybody getting excited, heading to a new location, a nighttime daily challenge, which looks insane. But that's for next week as we end this episode. What did you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What did you think about the daily challenge? What did you think about the elimination? What did you think about Kyland winning against Darrell? Are you shocked? What did you think about Moriah running around trying to make all kinds of deals to keep James safe while James just kind of sat around and didn't want to do anything for himself? Let me know down in the comment section below. Do you think that will come back to bite Moriah in the butt? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. And are you excited to see what's going to happen in next week's daily challenge, night daily challenge? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I want to hear what you have to say. And I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge 39 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.